Democratic Congressman Sam Gibbons of Tampa and Republican Bill Young of Largo are among 8 U.S. representatives who have filed for re-election without opposition. Now, the qualifying period for national office ended today, so unless write-in candidates file by July 25th, the 8 will be re-elected automatically. But both Governor Bob Graham and Senator Paula Hawkins face primary election opponents in their Senate race. Graham to be opposed by Bob Kunst of Miami, Kunst a gay rights activist. Republican Hawkins will be challenged by Ocean Ridge Mayor John Larson Schudlick. And listen to this. He's a Hawkins backer who says the freshman senator is too fine a lady to battle it out with Graham. I will not be a caretaker mayor. Those are the words of Sandy Friedman, the council chairman, who's about to become Tampa's new mayor. As Pulse 13's Warren Ellie reports, Friedman is determined to make a difference long before she campaigns to keep her new job.
As Bob Martinez resigns to run for governor, the most obvious change at City Hall will be style. Sandy Friedman grew up in Tampa, a student of government. She served on council 8 years.
I'm thought to be an outgoing person, and I am, and I'm accessible and all, and the mayor is a little bit more reserved than I, and that'll probably factor into the type of mayor that I am as opposed to what Bob Martinez has been.
But that doesn't mean Friedman won't make some changes. One of her first tasks, replacing City Attorney Guy Spicola and City Housing and Inspections Chief Marjorie Sneed. But the new mayor says, as far as she's concerned, that's where it will end. There will be no changes for change's sake.
That's the reason you'll see so many of the key people staying, because they work for the city of Tampa. They don't necessarily just work for the mayor.
Friedman says she has commitments from Chief of Police Don Newberger and Fire Chief William Austin to both stay on the job. Two key positions, many considered vital to the new administration.
I'm going to be tough on crime. There's no question that that's going to be one of my top priorities.
When you ask around and you try to get a feeling for how people see Sandy Friedman, you often hear the word tough lady, determined lady. What about that?
Oh, I will stand for what I believe in, and I think that's what the people of this community want. But by and large, I'm not a tough lady. I think I'm a very reasonable and but decisive individual.
Although much of Friedman's task will be continuity to carry on what the Martinez administration's already begun, her biggest challenge might well be all that steel and glass back there, to change downtown into a place where people will want to do more than work, a place where they'll want to live. Warren Ellie, Pulse 13, Tampa.
It's getting cheaper to borrow money. The prime rate was cut this morning to 8%. That's down half a percentage point. Chemical Bank became the nation's first major financial house to drop its corporate rate since the Federal Reserve reduced its discount rate. Other banks are expected to follow suit. It also appears you'll be able to buy more with the money you save on lower interest rates. The government is reporting the steepest 6-month decline for wholesale prices since 1949. Prices during the first 6 months of this year were 6.5% lower than they were at the end of last year. Analysts say prices will rise later this year, but they claim the annual wholesale inflation rate could still average out to less than 1%.
Well, tonight's Pulse 13 editorial comments on the latest national study of pornography. Here's Jim West.
The problem with the Meese Commission report on pornography is that it's so seriously flawed as to pose some very real dangers. At the risk of being misunderstood, Channel 13 does not in any way countenance pornographic material or any form of bizarre sexual behavior. But the Meese Commission's findings are lacking in scientific evidence. Chairman Henry Hudson admits he and the other members relied on uncorroborated testimony and their version of common sense. Two other members said the commission could not agree on what constitutes degrading material. As to pornography's impact on society, another commission 16 years ago found no evidence that exposure to pornography causes crime, delinquency, sexual or non-sexual deviancy. The Meese Commission, with far less resources and time to investigate, came to just the opposite conclusion. The two commissions also disagree on resorting to federal, state, and local legislation to deal with the problem. While Attorney General Edwin Meese says he's not concerned about censorship activities resulting from the Commission's work, we are. We are because Chairman Hudson supports the idea of helping citizen action or so-called moral watchdog groups. There's the critical point. Who is to decide what is to be censored? Where do you start and where do you stop? Even community standards vary from one city and state to another. We go back to the First Amendment on freedom of speech in the press. It comes with a price. It also seems to us to be the guarantee from which most of our other freedoms flow.
Channel 13 welcomes comments on its editorials and will consider requests for reply time from those with other viewpoints.